Welcome to the 25th Hour podcast, where successful business owners share the strategies they use to get things done every day. I'm your host, Lisa Curley Malice, and today's guest is Heidi Kerner. Heidi is a certified seminar leader, business consultant, and a coach specializing in supporting women in taking their career to the next level through the art of presentation skills, sales training, and networking. Heidi also is the founder of this really cool group, the Coffee Club Divas, which is a women's professional networking organization. You will love this episode. Heidi's enthusiasm is contagious, and she has some really strong techniques to help make sure that you are fully present for the different pieces that you're doing throughout the day. Many times we can get bogged down and going from one meeting to the next, to the next, to the next. And she has a couple ideas there to help you navigate that challenge. So grab a cup of coffee or tea or hot chocolate or whatever is your beverage of choice, settle in and take a listen to some of Heidi's strategies for success. Hello, Heidi. I am super excited that you are the guest today. How are you?
I am good, and I'm so excited to finally see you face to face because I feel like we've known each other and we've worked together and collaborated for a couple of years now. So the Zoom thing is good, and just to hear your voice again is great.
Right.
Thanks
I know,
for
just to
having me.
right, and to see each other. It's almost like we're in person.
I know,
So close.
almost. Yes, so close, but so far away.
So, right? I know. So one of the things I really appreciate about you is you're a woman of your word. You're a woman of integrity. When you say you're going to do something by a certain date, you do it.
Yeah.
And which is easy for people to do if they don't have anything on their plate. But you have stuff on your plate. You do a lot of different things. You're involved with a lot of different areas. Your business is very robust. So what I'm curious to know, Heidi, is what are some of the strategies you use to make sure that you're getting things done and you can be a woman of integrity?
Well, speaking of being a woman of integrity and how do I get things done, and because you are the time management queen, it is about time management. I love talking about this topic because we can all say at the end of the day, where's the time go? And I have learned because I've been a businesswoman for over 25 years and an entrepreneur. And how do I keep that structure going? So basically, but I'm old school. I don't have all the technology things to keep me on track. I like my old-fashioned timer. I heard one of your last speakers, I think was Lori, talking about the timer. I like my Franklin planner that I can write things down. And I can get obsessed with time management because everything has a time and a place, and to switch gears. And it keeps me on track with my clients, with my family, with my business, with doing projects. So yeah.
So tell me more about how do you make sure that you are focusing on those things that are most important?
Well, in terms of priorities, well, first of all, the one thing that I always like to say, and even to my clients who have trouble with their time management, is what's always still interesting and shocking to me is time management takes time. And seriously, and I think people don't think that. They just think that they can throw things out or they don't put enough time in between for fires. So how I make sure everything gets done is usually on Sunday night is I will sit there. And this is my strategy. And as simple as it is, I'll just look at the whole week. I look at my projects. I look at my clients. Oh, I'm going to be on the podcast with Lisa. Let me make sure that I'm giving myself a 15-minute window beforehand. I mark everything in my calendar so that I can be on point. And then it feels really good to be able to, check that off the list. So it's really about putting it on paper, putting it down, putting it in my schedule. And I mix and mingle because I'm an entrepreneur, whether it's personal stuff, professional stuff. But here's where I find a lot of my entrepreneurs, because they're like, oh, really? Can you walk through? I mean, this is a new concept for a lot of people. And I'm sure that you find that as well with your clients, that they're not always, putting it down on paper or writing it down. They forget their appointments. Yeah, so I get it down on paper.
Yeah, because I feel that one of the things I'll share with clients is data rules. You will make decisions based on your emotion,
Yes.
and you want to make decisions based on data when it comes to your time. And so if you are putting things into the calendar, you will recognize when you fall into what we call magical thinking land. It's where you think you have, 2 hours and you'll magically get 8 hours worth of stuff done in
Mm-hmm.
that 2 hours. But once you start to put in the calendar, you recognize there isn't room. Like it does not fit.
Well, exactly. And I love that word, the data, because so many people, again, go with their emotions and they say to themselves, well, I don't feel like working on that project, or I don't feel like working on that proposal. It's one thing if you're seeing clients live or on the phone or via Zoom or whatever, that you've made that commitment. And again, getting it down on paper, there's no room for excuse. And the other thing that I do is I'm just very structured. Like I treat my business like a job. So there's no room during my day, even though I work at home, there's no room for doing laundry in the middle of my day, going grocery shopping. Because again, a lot of people wake up, oh, let me put off that follow-up call and let me just watch a little Oprah. And it's like, no, I'm at my desk at 8 in the morning, no matter what. And I work till 4:30 and I take my little break in the kitchen. So I live by structure, but I learned it the hard way. I do come from corporate, so I think that helped. But I can't emphasize enough. People all the time are like, oh, I forgot. I'm like, how could you forget if it's written down? It doesn't make sense. It's written down.
Right. And I love the email you sent me. I think it was yesterday. It says, I will be at my desk until like 11 or until 1 or
Yes.
whatever it was. And I was like, oh, I love that because I know how to get a hold of you if I need to. I know when I can expect a return call or email. It was so brilliant. And it reminded me, I remember you shared with me a couple, maybe last year about
Yeah.
I'm in the office at 8.
Yep.
That's my routine. That's what I do.
And it's just, you're right, letting people know. It's also being a good communicator and letting people know. But I mean, it wasn't always this way, but I was trained through the Franklin Covey, and I've taken so many time management classes and learned about procrastination, because believe me, there's things that I don't always feel like doing either. And then how can I break that down? And the other thing I do is in the morning, I come up with my 10, now I'm a Post-it note. And I have terrible handwriting. I've got Post-it notes that I love, but I will come up with my 10 things to do. And maybe they're not all in the calendar, but things that I want to make sure that I need to get done. And whatever doesn't get done that day, I move forward to the next piece. But just blocking out that time has made such a difference for me. And one other thing that I like to tell my clients and to share today with your audience, in the past, I used to put things too close together and didn't give myself breathing time. So say you are a client and I'm on the phone with you, and then we're on the phone till 1 o'clock, and then I would book I had another client at 1. The last 10 minutes, my adrenaline's going. I need to get you off the phone. I need to, it doesn't give me a chance to go to the restroom, to get a glass of water. So I leave room now for fires or for, situations, or to give myself a break in between. And it's taken so much stress out of my life by having those boundaries.
Yes. And I found that by moving to an online calendar more to set appointments, I can create it so that there is a buffer
Yes.
automatically in the appointment.
Yeah.
So even though I'm recording 3 different podcast episodes today,
Yes.
there's a half-hour buffer in between each one. And that way I don't have to worry.
Right.
If we're in a great conversation, I don't have to be like, oh, sorry, I'm done with you. Because it always feels so just not genuine to
Right.
be like, oh, the person at 1 is more important than the person at 12:59. Like I have to cut you off so that I'm not late to this one. It just doesn't seem to be in integrity with who you are, with who I am.
Exactly. And it's fascinating because, as you know, I teach networking. So especially when we're networking in person, or even if we're networking in Zoom, I'm constantly seeing people, they're hairy, they're like walking in, they're chaotic, they have that energy, they don't realize the impression that they're giving up, they're not present. So there's so much that goes along with that, and being on time and watching your time and giving yourself time for the traffic, for the weather. There's a lot that goes into that in terms of how to show up as being present and as a successful businessman. So I'm
I
all about it. I get on my
yeah.
high horse talking about time management.
I
do.
know. I'm thinking of there was back when the world was open. We
Yes.
went to in person, a lot of in-person networking. There was a woman who would come in every month and she's like, oh, traffic was just horrible. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, we are in the same location at the
Right.
same time. It is the same traffic
And to
every week.
plan for it. I tell people like for their appointments and stuff to be 10 minutes early. And because 10 minutes early, you can just breathe, even on Zoom. I like to get early. How's the technology going to work? Is my background okay? How's the lighting? So anyway, it's just helped my life in so many ways. And again, what I've noticed, just giving some people those tips is like, oh, I never thought about sitting down and working out my whole week. They're just more fly by night. So I think those are just good reminders for some of us who are struggling with any kind of time management or getting things done.
Right. Right. And people sometimes will come on the show and they're like, well, I don't know that I do anything different. You're the expert. And I was like, everybody who's successful does something that works.
Interesting.
Everybody, so if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, I never thought about doing that or never thought about doing this, that's okay. That's why we're talking. These are real world strategies. These are not things you're going to pick up in a book that apply to 10% of the population. This is stuff that really works. And
I hear a lot too that a lot of people, because they ask me, how do I get started with projects that they don't want to do? Or even if you move out of the business world and in your home, and if you have, I call it rat's nests or clutter or whatever. And that's where, back to your other client, I learned this from the Fly Lady, where I have my little timer. And I just set it for 15 minutes, and it's amazing in 15 minutes what you can get done in the kitchen or clean, and just know there's a beginning and an end, and the feeling of satisfaction and making movement on things. So what is it? The one bite at a time, or what's the saying?
Yes. How do you eat an elephant?
Yes,
One bite at a time.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And I have not heard the Fly Lady in years.
I love her.
She has great stuff.
She does. She's all about getting things done, getting it on time, putting on the calendars, so again, because that was part of my area that I had a lot of clutter and I didn't know how to deal with it, it would become overwhelming. And it's having a timer, knowing there's a beginning and an end, because you may look at your closet, you may look at your basement and say, I could never do it. We all shut the door, shut the drawer, the door, whatever it is, and say, forget about it. And then if you it's amazing, just these little pieces, just 15 minutes a day. That's what she talks about, 15 minutes a day. You start plugging away, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is coming forth. And it feels good.
Right.
We carry a lot of stress when we have a lot of time management issues.
I use that often with clients, especially in the area when they're struggling to do follow-up calls. Like for some reason, like prospecting, that stuff tends to be sticky for a lot of people. And I'm like, put the timer on for 15 minutes. You can do anything for 15 minutes. And if at the end of the 15 minutes, you're like, that's it, I'm done, then be done.
That's right.
I said, but a body in motion stays in motion. So once you're in, you're liable to keep going. Just say, I can do anything for 15 minutes.
That's right. And it's funny when you say the follow-up calls, because as we both know as business women, a lot of people don't want to do it. And that's the key to success. You can take your person there, talk 80% of the time. So I also like to just have fun with Fridays. I call follow-up Fridays. And I feel like sometimes when you make it a little ditty, and it's like, that's my day. And you pick that hour or those 15 minutes. Who are the people? Who are those business cards that are sitting on your desk right now that you know that you need to follow up with? And then Mondays, I do marketing Mondays. So I make that commitment. And so I have fun with my Post-it notes. I have fun with my timer, and I have fun with my schedule. And it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to spend 2 hours on my marketing, and I'm going to do a video, and I'm going to do this and that. Friday's my follow-up day. Let me put in some clients. Let me give myself some time in between to breathe. and it's amazing how much you can get done. And even if I don't feel like it, you do it anyway.
Right. Yes, preaching to the choir here. So you mentioned, as we've been talking a little bit, that you do networking and that you have a group. And so tell us more about your business, because I love your
Well,
business.
yes. So basically, I'm a business coach, a marketing consultant. And what I do is I love working with entrepreneurs, but I work with all different kinds of professionals and help them take themselves to the next level in business. But how I do that, my specialties are really about teaching networking skills. So whether it's in person, whether it's within a company, whether these days it's online. I teach presentation skills, so anything about how to talk about your business, how to do a 30-second commercial, how to do public speaking as a way to market your business, how to do videos that captures clients, and also I do sales training. So that talks about like the follow-up, how to talk about your business in a way that people want to buy from you, how to overcome objections. So basically, it's all soft skills for professionals in helping them to be more comfortable and confident in their own skin and take their business to the next level.
And I know you have a group, you
Yes.
love them, the Divas. Tell us about who are the Divas?
I know, the name, the Divas. We're the Coffee Club Divas. And don't let the name fool you. It's a fun name and it's a fun group, but I have about 150 professional women and I'm the founder. So lovingly, they call me the queen. But what it is, it's a group of women that we come together several times a month and help each other with our businesses. So we network, we build relationships, we do communication, we do masterminding. So when we were meeting in person before all the situations that would happen, I would have 1 or 2 meetings a month, and I would teach them how to communicate their business, how to do 30-second commercials. So I've had the business for almost 9 years. It's my second networking group. I had another one that I had for 4 years successfully with my husband. That's my background. Is when I lived in Los Angeles, I worked for a networking organization. This is all before the internet, before Facebook, all this stuff. We did the old fashioned thing. We shook hands and said, hello. And I've always been a firm believer in networking. I had to learn the ropes of networking because I know it doesn't seem like it, but I'm a recovering introvert is what I like to call myself. And when I moved to Erie, Pennsylvania, quote unquote, back home, I was ready to start networking in person. There really wasn't anything here. They had the great Chamber of Commerce, but I was used to these big groups and inspirational speakers and lots of energy. So I created it and it's been wonderful. We collaborate with one another. We have a private Facebook page, a website, and I love this troop of women and taking them to the next level.
Well, and I think one of the silver linings to the very dark COVID cloud is this has allowed you to move your group further
Yes.
instead of just local.
Absolutely. So one of my goals has been, because I've been local, and even though I have a lot of connections in Los Angeles after living there for 20 years, then knowing immediately, I think when this all happened in March, we were supposed to have a juicy happy hour at the local hotel, which one of my divas owns, because we like to support each other, and she was going to spotlight her business and show it off. We had to pivot instantly to online. And I've been doing some seminars online, but not to that degree. And then all of a sudden moving everybody online. And at first we all want that face-to-face, but like you and I are saying, I feel like you're right there. But what it's done, the silver lining, as you say, is given me a wonderful excuse to reach out to all of my LA connections who are all speakers and wonderful, to reconnect with people like you and to say, let's all help each other. Or I'm excited to have you, Lisa, as one of my speakers in front of my divas in January. And it's bringing more expertise to all of us. So I really love this whole collaboration piece. And so it's taking it to the next level worldwide. I'm meeting so many amazing women that I would have never met around the world right now who are inspiring me and relighting my fire in my business. So it's been really powerful.
I know. I like the pandemic hasn't been great, kind of implied in the word pandemic. But there are little pieces that you're like, okay,
Right.
I wouldn't have done this, or I wouldn't have thought of this, or I wouldn't have done this quickly or this way.
Yes.
And it just, like you said, forced us to pivot, and we can do that. So I know you've relocated, and you have the Divas, you have all this stuff. And so because you're so focused and because you have so much structure, you are able to create the 25th hour, that extra time in your day or in your week. How do you like to spend it? What do you like to do with that extra time?
Well, I would like to say, oh, I love to cook and be all creative. I love to dance.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. And, I love to dance. Something that we were doing actually before the pandemic hit is I love doing flash mobs. And are you familiar with flash mobs?
Yes.
I like to dance in the street. I like to perform. Well, there's a little bit of an actress in me. I mean, I am a former actress. This actress still lives within me. And I love to dance. And I love to dance if it's with my husband, whether we are swing dancing or whether we're being silly dance, but a lot of times by myself. Seriously, I've learned the art of whether it's dancing though to the musicals, and it gets my body going, because to sit there and to exercise, I have a hard time with that. So that 11th hour, the 25th hour, is really, what can I do for my own self-care? And I need movement, especially these days too. I am sitting a lot more now that we are on Zoom. And that music just takes me to another level. So that's something that I like to do just for fun, for me. And there's other projects. I'm working on my book, things like that. But sometimes that feels like studious. And that's where I have to have my accountability partner and put that time in my schedule. That goes in my schedule. But the dance part's like, woohoo. Good dance with me, Lisa. So I feel
Look
like
at that. I'm loving the dance party you're doing right now. And you just said something that sparked, tell me more about accountability partner.
Yes. For this whole time management thing, for all of us, including myself, is accountability is so important. So many of us, I feel like we get a goal and we just get stuck and we can't move forward, or it's a big deal. For example, I've been working on my book or different projects that I have going, or in the past, if I'm working with somebody, whether it's regarding eating healthy, whether it's working out, whether it's working on my spirituality, I am a big person asking for coaching and accountability. I always have one or two coaches going at a time. So I walk my talk with that, because my whole thing is we can't do it alone, and it's okay to ask for help. So accountability, I believe in hiring a coach or having somebody or a group to help keep us accountable. It's so easy to get off track, isn't it?
One of the things I share with clients, coaches need coaches too.
Absolutely.
And if you're working with a coach who doesn't have a coach,
right,
you need to question how much they value the work that they're doing as a coach. I mean, not to be rude or mean or whatever, but if you're working with someone who thinks they have it all figured out and they don't need outside help, it's probably not a good idea, because we're all still learning and growing.
We're all still learning and growing, and you want a coach that's on point and going to the next level and pushing through the comfort zone. So for those of us that choose to play bigger, to clean up our time management, to make a difference in life, it's how do we going to go to the next level? Our stuff comes up, our fear comes up, I don't want to comes up. I mean, I'm pushing myself forward because I promised my accountability. I'm an accountability coach with this book that I'm like, oh, I just, I could speak all day long. And it's like I told her I was going to get her a manuscript by Friday in the printer. I'm pushing that forward. And sometimes it's just getting started with something. And then once you're in it, it's like, oh, now I know why I'm doing it. But if I didn't have that accountability person, I'd blow it off. We just blow things off. So I run accountability meetings for people, as well as have my own accountability. I think that's key to success, definitely.
Absolutely. I have a client right now who I'm her, it's body double is the term for it. And we just opened Zoom and she works on her end. I'm muted on my end.
Oh,
I'm doing what I need to do. And she is working, but she knows I'm there. She doesn't need anything from me. other than just to physically be there while
Mhm.
she does some of the things that she is struggling to get moving. And then, half hour later, we're done. We just close out Zoom and we move on. And,
Mhm.
and she's like, this body double thing seems kind of like sci-fi. And I was like, okay. But I was like, it's an accountability partner who's sitting right there with you while you're working.
I love it. I think that's a great idea. I think it's so important. I found oftentimes, again, if you have somebody who is going to be on point and keep you accountable, I find sometimes, like if you have a friend and then you're accountable to walk together, but then it's raining, and then you say, "Do you really want to go?" And they're like, "No, let's not." It's easy to get out of it. So it's like invest, pay the person,
Mhm.
get it on board, and they will take you to the next
Yep.
level.
I need always to have an accountability partner who I am just a little bit afraid of.
Yes.
And afraid may or may not be the right word, intimidated by or whatever, but it can't be someone I'm super comfortable with.
I love that's a good
Because,
point too.
right?
Yeah.
I can rationalize my way out of anything. Like
Yes.
I'm exceptionally skilled in that. So I
But
need
then you
someone
don't
who
want
will
to
let me.
disappoint. You want to have someone that you respect. Like, yeah, there's a million other things I like to do. And it's like, oh, I told her I would have this book done. And it's like, I know it's for my own good, but it haunts me in a good way, though. That's how we get
Mhm.
things done. I've been in accountability groups where it's eating right or exercising. I'm like, how can I show up to the group tomorrow and just sleep in those extra 20 minutes, which is what I really want to do. But I told everybody what I was going to do because it's important to me. You use the word integrity and to stay in integrity and to be in what I like to call time integrity, which is to me showing up on time, kind of
Mhm.
circling back to that whole piece.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I know that we could talk for hours and
I
hours and hours
know.
and hours. And I also know that our listeners get tired of listening after a certain amount of time.
There
So
you go.
therefore,
Yeah, they can only take it
we
so
both
much, and
know
then they've had enough of our time. Yes.
that's how that works. So how can people get a hold of you? What would you like to share with them before we close out today?
Well, so I know about the Coffee Club Divas, which is a women's networking group, but also my website's HeidiInspire.com, HEIDI, another I, inspire.com. And that's a place where they can go and set up a discovery session. So what I like to offer is a discovery session. And what that means is the 2020, you probably have something similar, 20-25 minute time where they can contact me and we can just chat about a challenge they might have, something going on, to see if I'm the right fit for them, whether a consultant, whether as a coach, as a mentor. Do they need help with their presentation skills? Do they need help with networking? I work with a lot of shy people. They don't know how to do small talk or talk about their business if they're struggling in sales. Again, those are kind of my 3 areas. So they can contact me, and I'd love just to have a conversation and see how I can best support them in any of those areas that they might be struggling with.
Oh, that is so generous of you. Thank you, because I know how valuable your time is.
Thank you.
And the fact that you offer that, so that people can get an idea of, okay, what is it that I really need? Because often what we think we need is the surface. And what we
Exactly.
really need is a little further down. And we need someone who's skilled to be able to dig through to find, oh, here's where the challenge really is. So thank
Yes,
you for offering that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, it was, as always, a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you.